Welcome to Awake to Oneness Radio. I am Caroline Chang, your host. The mission of Awake to Oneness Radio is to inspire the world to awaken to the universal truth of oneness. Science and spirituality is teaching us that we're all one. Science now is the new quantum physics. Quantum physics is teaching us that everything is energy. And that energy is interconnected and interdependent. In essence, that energy is one thing. That's all there is that energy. And it's interconnected and interdependent, meaning that we are all one. We are all connected. We are all not just people, but plants, the planet, everything is connected, because all there is, my term for God, is all there is. Now, ancient wisdom and spirituality has been teaching the universal truth of oneness for eons. And now it's not even new science. Quantum physics is over 100 years old. So by now, we should know this universal truth of oneness. And when mankind awakens to the universal truth of oneness, there will be peace on earth. Today's show topic is Create the Future with Michelle Brock. Welcome, Michelle, to Awake to Oneness Radio.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you. Yes, I met you. We were talking a little bit before we got started recording. I met you and heard of you through a very dear friend of mine from Helping Parents Heal, because I have a son in spirit and she has a son in spirit, and she told me about your work, and that's why I wanted to invite you on the show and let you share. Please share your journey with our listeners.
Thank you so much. And like I said, thank you for this opportunity to be part of this beautiful show and your mission. But that was exactly well said about the oneness. I'm a spiritual life coach. I have a coaching practice.
Okay.
I've been doing this for almost 15 years, and I got into this work through my own journey, like any good coach, and mostly through my journey around loss. I lost my mother in 1977. I was about to turn 3. Left my dad with my sister, who's younger than me, with 2 babies. And growing up, it was one of those questions, like, why do some people get to have their mother and I didn't get to have mine? Or, why do bad things happen to good people? Right? That was really just that fundamental question, working through the grief of that loss, that helped me ask these bigger questions. And about 15 years ago, I'd hit another crossroads, again, another loss. I lost my grandmother.
Okay.
And my journey involves a lot of loss. I lost all my grandparents. And this one was my mother's mother. So it was like losing my mother all over again.
Right.
And, during that period of time, someone gave me a book. Actually, my sister gave me a book written by Dr. Brian Weiss. It's called Many Lives, Many Masters.
Right here.
You have it.
I have it right. It's right. Wait a second. Because it is one of my favorite books. It is right
Actually,
here.
that's Messages from the Masters. That's my favorite of his books.
Oh, okay.
His first book. Yes, that is my favorite book too, because it's about all of the beautiful messages from Spirit.
Yes.
He received. But I read Many Lives, Many Masters, and I couldn't put it down.
Okay.
It's not a super long book, but I read it in one sitting, and it
Okay.
lit this fire in me. It was just the most compelling thing I'd ever read. And for your viewers who aren't familiar with the book, it's a story of he's a psychiatrist who was working with a patient who was experiencing a lot of trauma and a lot of symptoms, panic. And in the context of their therapy, he was using hypnosis to kind of uncover traumatic memories that might have been in her past that were causing her symptoms.
Yes.
And he couldn't find anything in her past, in this life, that was contributing to her symptoms. So he said, in frustration, go to the time which your symptoms began. And she described this scene that was thousands of years ago. And, he was like, they didn't teach me this at Yale Medical School. Like, I don't really know what's happening. But over the course of their therapy together, she got better. And not only did she get better, but she became more awakened and more intuitive and more peaceful and more able to kind of attract and manifest things. It was almost like this magical kind of opening that she had. And, you know, he wrote this book from the perspective of watching her have this experience.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, after I put it down, I thought, I need to know who this woman is. Where is she lecturing? Because her story is so compelling. And she never even disclosed her real name.
Okay.
Because it was in the context of therapy.
Yes.
So I went to meet him and I said, you know, I want to have this experience. Of course, there were hundreds of people that had flocked to his workshop that weekend, but he
Yes.
said, I can choose one person to come up on stage and have this experience.
Wow.
And he chose me. And it was one of those things. I was sitting in the back and I remember thinking I know there's so many people that traveled from all over the world that want to have this experience. And I went up on stage and in front of a few hundred people, I had an experience that changed my life forever. Not just changed my life, it changed the way that I look at everything, the way I view even just like purpose, why we're here. And the story actually of that past life experience I had with him is in his most recent book, which actually I have right here.
Okay. Awesome.
Miracles Happen.
Okay.
My story is in that book. He co-wrote it with his daughter, Amy.
Okay.
You know, a lot of the story was about healing the grief around losing my mother. A lot of things that came up in the past life were connected to my feelings about my father and how he handled the loss of my mother. I mean, it was basically like 30 years of therapy in like 45 minutes.
Yes.
It just brought all this understanding and peace. So I went back to him about 9 months later and I said, teach me
Yes.
how to do this. And I've been doing this ever since with my own clients.
Yes.
I look at it as an opportunity to pay it forward to this experience that was just so peaceful and so healing and so transitional. So it's a tool I use as a life coach to help people figure out, you know, where they're feeling stuck or they're, you know, feeling like life has no purpose, life has no meaning. Why am I here? Some people have practical reasons for coming to see me. Maybe there's a phobia or something that they're dealing with that they can't understand.
Right.
Why they have this fear. It comes from a previous life. I have a lot of people who are single and looking. Where's my soulmate? That's a common one.
Okay.
And I tell people all the time, I have the most interesting job on the entire planet. It's fascinating. People are fascinating. You know, I'm kind of a history nerd also too. So watching people go through different periods of time, the things they describe and the experiences they describe and how universal our experience as human beings really is the one, and which is why I love the title of your podcast, Oneness. We're
Yes.
one.
Awake
And I
to
think
oneness.
that reincarnation
Yes.
is the great equalizer. We've been
Yes.
gender, ethnicity, background, experience, you know.
Exactly.
And if everybody could understand that, there would be world peace.
Oh yes. Oh yes. Oh yes.
Yeah.
Oh, so true. And oh my goodness, like what you just said, when we understand who we truly are
Yes.
as divine souls experiencing all there is.
Yes.
God wants to experience all there is through us.
Yes.
So he's going to live every type of life through us. I say he, that's just because
Yeah.
we're brought up, but he, she, there's no gender.
Universal oneness.
Yes. Yes. So in essence, I see this like also, because I started studying spirituality very long ago, but it was science. Science gave me the awareness I needed. Spirituality, I loved metaphysical books. I love spirituality. Even Brian's book, I loved, but it wasn't until I watched a film on quantum physics that was the key to my awakening. And awakening comes from within. It's not.
Is that the What the Bleep film?
What the bleep? Yes. What the bleep? That, and it was one sentence.
Yeah.
One sentence. Very long film, and the movie part of it I didn't care for. The documentary part of it, the interviews with the scientists. And actually, she's not a scientist. She's a journalist. Her name is Lynn McTaggart. And she's been a guest on my show.
I have her books right on my shelf.
Yeah, she's great.
We're interested.
She's great. Yeah. And her one sentence that inspired my awakening was, the biggest problem in the world today is the illusion of separateness. We think we're separate. Yeah. That's why it's like, okay, it's okay for me to rob from you and to kill you and to lie to you because you're separate from me. Yeah. Not true at all.
Right. That's right.
You are an aspect of me, and we're all aspects, holographic aspects of all that is. That's my term for God, because a lot, God is everything and everyone. And when we can see that.
You mentioned quantum physics earlier. It's something that I've been super interested in for many years as well. And it began with me when I started studying shamanism. I have several Native American teachers that I've worked with. And the way that indigenous people almost all over the globe describe time was that time is an illusion. That one of my Cherokee teachers says that time doesn't move like an arrow, it moves like a wheel. The past, present, and future all happening concurrently, right? So things that mystics have talked about, or indigenous people have talked about, or people that live in a way that was more connected with the earth have described things. Quantum physics is actually proving now that they're true.
Exactly.
That we've become disconnected from this truth, and that science is returning us to this truth, that there are so much more going on an energetic level around us at all times than what meets the eye. So
exactly. Exactly. And you exactly went where I was going, which was about the time.
Yeah.
It's because not only the shamans say that, again, science, Albert Einstein said time is merely an illusion. And this was over 100 years ago, time, or close to 100 years ago. He said, time is merely an illusion, albeit a very persistent one. So and another one of my favorite books is The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle, which talks about the now, and so I always believe in reincarnation, but once I understood that time is not linear,
right?
Everything, all of our lives we're living right here and now. Every one of them. And in hypnosis, we can access past, we can even access future lives. If you ask somebody to go the other way, because time is not linear.
That's right.
All of the lives that we're living right now. So I use a new term now. I use simultaneous lives.
Interesting. Okay.
Yes. Because I know that I'm living all my past lives now, here now, and the only time that is the now, and all my future lives here now, and this present life. And I love the power of now, because it's great. I understand some people that come to you that are stuck and they want to find out why and how, and then I love that. But I always say, for me, it's the now moment because even Stephen Hawkins, who recently transitioned, he, in his work, he recently has proven, now I'm not a scientist, so I can't tell you the science of it, but in his work, he has proven that the now moment affects the past as well as the future.
That's correct. Yes.
Yes. And because it's where I choose to focus in this now moment, I could heal all of the past trauma from this life and previous lives, and all of trauma possibly in future lives in this now moment.
I think you just described perfectly the essence of what I do, where we're in this physical form, in this physical body. So we feel that this is my experience that I'm having now, with the idea that things that happen to us in what we perceive the past to be, so the 1700s or the 5th century or whatever it is, in an energetic and vibrational way, is impacting us somehow now. Whether it's limiting belief systems, fears, prejudices.
Yes.
You know, all of these things, the idea that these things are energy, that's what we bring with us from before.
Yes.
And that we can heal them now in order to create a new trajectory for our future, which is why we call this show Create the Future. I don't really care about past lives. I mean,
exactly. That's why I say, oh, I like that. Create the future.
Yeah. So it's kind of like to get rid of the things in your past that are holding you back from fully being present in the now and from creating the future that represents your highest destiny.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Because in every now moment, we choose where the future is not set.
Yeah. That's
and we create it from this now moment, the vibration, because everything is energy of vibrating at a certain frequency. So it's our core vibration that creates our next moment.
One of my favorite things about passive regression, though, is that it's a practical tool. I mean, I think that a lot of people understand these concepts like, oh, it's about the now, and it's energy and it's oneness, but have a difficult time figuring out how to experience that directly.
Yes.
Right? So it's kind of like to see, wow, I'm in a different body.
Yes.
I looked different before.
Yes.
And then to experience also having transitioned, there's a lot about around death and dying connected to this work. Like, wow, I died, I left my body. My consciousness is separate from my body.
Exactly.
And it was carried over into a new form.
Another body. Mm-hmm.
It's a practical way for somebody to see themselves. And then it's like, oh, these concepts that seem lofty or ethereal or things that you read in books or that only scientists can understand can be understood on an individual practical level.
Yes.
So it's it's a life-changing experience. It can.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, I refer to my body as a vehicle. Yeah. Like I've had many cars. I can't even remember how many different cars I've had in this lifetime. Yeah. And that's exactly how I think about my body. Yeah. I have a car, but I'm not my car. Yeah. I have a body. I'm not my body. And I designed it. I picked out this design for this life experience. I picked out my height, everything about me.
That's
I picked it out.
Right. Yes. That lines up with, I've worked with thousands and thousands of people individually. They all say they decided their life plan. And we decided, we talked a little bit about this before we began, our life plans, how we connect with other people, these soul contracts, people we cross paths with. This is what's going to happen. We decided all of this. And it's very nice to tell someone who's in the throes of a super big life challenge to be like, well, your soul chose this. Yeah. Learning and growth, you know. Right. Side, they realize that having survived and been on the other side.
Exactly. And when they do experience that, it's such a power. It's empowering. Yeah. To understand. Wait a second. I did, because when you understand and really embody the fact that you are creating your life experience here and now, and if you don't like it, you have the power to change it because you created it. So to me, it's so empowering.
One of my favorite taglines, and I have a lot of kind of. I throw reincarnation and past lives into almost everything I say, but we can reincarnate now. If you don't like the life you're living, you can choose. I have several past lives in this life. I've reinvented myself so many times. Yes. In my 40s, you know, I'm going to keep going. Yes. It's kind of like you're never stuck. You can always change your life and completely reincarnate and put a part of your life behind you. Yes. It can be a past life now.
Right. Exactly. Because again, it goes back to the everything is frequency and vibration. So what's happening at a lower vibration, if you're at that vibration, that's what you're experiencing. Soon as you realize, wait a second, I can raise my vibration. As soon as you realize that, you just switch timelines. You just switch timelines.
And what you said earlier too about healing the past. Also heals the future.
Exactly.
That's a fundamental principle of shamanism. I've studied shamanism from traditions from 5 different continents, and they're all saying the same thing. Yes. This line is a continual line, in that when you heal the past, you're also healing the future, and it's all connected.
Very, very true.
It's really brilliant. Like I said, how science is starting to bring, it's almost like it's a return to wisdom that we used to honor.
Yes.
In a simpler time.
Yes. It's so true. It's so the science of quantum physics is what, and what that's the science of everything. All of new technology is based on quantum physics.
That's right.
And the computer, the smartphone, the TV, everything is based on quantum physics. So the science now, and we're just at the tip of the quantum physics. There's so much more to learn, but even that tip, all of quantum physics is in agreement with ancient wisdom of shamanism and spirituality. They're in total agreement. And a lot of people don't even realize that.
Yeah. Well, we actually, according to the Mayan calendar, everybody talked about like, 2012, it's going to be like the end of the world. No, there was a shift to a new era on planet Earth. So we're just a few years into something completely new. And what ancient people prophesied was that completely new thing where we would learn to grow new bodies. We would learn to communicate in different ways. We would learn to be able to connect with each other in different ways. And I think that right now what's happening, obviously with this coronavirus thing, whatever, too, everyone's home. We're being forced to like, hey, there are different ways we can still stay connected.
Of course.
Right?
Of course.
And explore that part of us. So it's
of course.
But we just started it a few years ago, and it's going to go on for thousands of years. So we're brand new. We're brand new.
Yes, I'm glad you brought up that 2012 because people thought, I always knew that was the beginning of a new era.
Yeah.
And now that we are in 2020, and I've been saying this since September 2019, 2020 is the year of clear vision.
Yes.
And I knew something big was going to happen in 2020, but I thought it wasn't going to happen till September. Honestly, I was like, okay, something big is going to happen this year, but it's not going to come around to the end of the year. But
well, we're still getting
in. Yeah. What we're in is truly what we're in right now. In the end of April 2020, we've been on lockdown. Pennsylvania, where I live, has been on lockdown for the past 6 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
We are, and then I didn't get it until the second weekend, and I realized, wait a second, this is it.
Yeah.
This is the beginning of the mass awakening that we've been hearing about.
Yep.
Because a lot of things are going to be revealed this year.
I agree.
The blinders. And it's no coincidence that when you go to the eye doctor and they say you have 20/20 vision, you don't need glasses. That's no coincidence. Yeah. 2020 is the year
of clear
the mass reveal, the mass awakening, where humanity as a collective is going to see what has been happening for centuries. Yeah. I just know, all I know it's going to happen this year.
So you knew the 2012 thing was the beginning of the new era. And whenever people would tell me that, I have all this fear about 2012, I would say, I have a Mayan calendar. It's on my wall.
Okay.
It's a circle. It's round.
Okay. It's not an end. It's not no ending.
And that's a big thing with me. Growing up, I grew up being very connected to nature. I was a very outdoorsy kid. To me, reincarnation made more sense, even though I wasn't raised in a tradition that believed in reincarnation. In fact, my parents are very religious and don't believe in reincarnation.
Right.
I was raised completely to not believe in reincarnation, but it made more sense when I looked at cycles in nature, that the life, death, and rebirth that happens around us continuously, and we're a part of nature, so why would we be any different? And that was kind of my foray into how it just seemed to make sense to me. There's no end. My calendar
no end at all. No end.
And off the edge, right? It's just going. So
right. And also, we weren't Catholic, but I was sent to Catholic school for 6 years for the education. My father was a dentist, and he felt like, okay, Catholic education, solid, good education. I'm sending my kids to Catholic school. Not that we became Catholic, but we had religion in class every day. Yep. We had the nuns. We had corporal punishment where you actually got spanked in school. I'm talking about the mid-60s.
Yeah.
But I knew, and see, also my father was very strict. And my father said to me and my brother, we were just two of us, children are to be seen and not heard. So I go to school and I'm hearing all this stuff in religion class. And I'm like, I started in kindergarten. And 5 years old, I'm thinking to myself, well, I can't say this, but no.
Yeah.
I have to keep my mouth shut because I'm a child. But what you're telling me makes absolutely no sense. And no, I'm not buying it. I'm not swallowing it. I'm not drinking the Kool-Aid.
That's
okay,
right.
I'm just not.
Your soul had a resonance, like you were probably an old soul that landed in a 5-year-old girl's body. Like, wait, no, this is not the truth. Not my truth.
Not the truth, not the truth. And that's why I say, honestly, from day one, from the day I popped out, I was following spirit guidance. So I was the black sheep of the family. I wasn't a bad kid, but I just like, if it didn't resonate with me, now I know that. Thankfully, I've been following.
I know, and I'm very fortunate. I do have a lot of colleagues and friends who are healers or people who are, doing conscious media like you're doing, helping to kind of spread the word. The black sheep of the family is a little bit of a blueprint of just kind of, you were just born like, no, but we're born to just tear open, the fissure in the concept of who people think they are. It's a very specific life path, and to challenge the status quo to help create this new awareness. So
exactly, and we are 2020. We are in the thick of it, and I was so shocked that like when it really hit me, it was probably March 21st. We're like, wait a second. This is what we've been waiting for. I know it seems crazy to the world that, we're in, but if we think about it, it's actually this is a time where us being inside, it gives us more time to meditate and really go within. It's you know what? Mother Earth, Gaia, is a living being. And she has regenerated so much in the past 6 weeks. There's dolphins appearing where they've never appeared. The skies are clear in LA for the first time in eons. It's like, it's just so much. Mother Earth is healing herself while we are staying at home. And
I read the other day that the largest hole in the ozone over the North Pole has actually closed.
See? I mean, Mother Earth, she's amazing. She's healing herself. And now this is our time, even though we're like, oh my God. And now the thing is, because I think I shared with you before we started recording, and this is a direct order from Spirit. And this is the first time Spirit yelled at me. When I said, I'm not audibly, but inside here.
I'm familiar with it, yes.
Spirit yelled at me to turn off the news and 2001, September of 2001, and never turn it back on. So it didn't just say turn it off for now.
Right.
Turn it off.
Don't have that in your mind.
Turn it back on. So that was 19 years ago.
I think it's really interesting talking about 2020 and the idea of the clear vision. It's almost like this time that we're mandated to kind of step away from our normal life.
Yes.
Is giving us the clues as to what we need to do moving forward. We've got to change. We've got to change our value system. We've got to change the way we approach how we, are treating the planet, how we're treating each other, how we're doing business, commerce, equality. There's so much that has come out about inequity and inequality in our system through this. And I think that you're right. It's kind of like in a very painful way, it's showing us what we're doing isn't working. This is broken. And here's what we need to know about how to fix it moving forward. And I don't think it's going to happen all at once, but it's kind of like, see?
It's the beginning, and things are speeding up exponentially. Because think about technology in 1900 compared to the technology in the year 2000.
Yep.
See the leaps and bounds. So so if you compared 1800 to 1900, not that much a change in 100 years. Yeah. But from 1900 to 2000, exponentially. So here we are 20 years into the 21st century. and things are speeding up exponentially. So the things we're talking about changing, needing new systems all around, new way of government, new way of education, everything needs to be overhauled. Because nothing is really working.
No.
And in a sense, it has to be torn down to build up the new. But if you think about what we're going through, it's not that bad.
Yeah.
We're stuck at home.
Yeah.
But you know what? We actually are on a much higher timeline. Like we were talking about in each now moment, we choose a higher, we could choose a lower. I prefer to choose a, as a collective, because we are one.
Right.
Humanity as a collective has chosen a very high timeline.
Right.
That we are, okay, let's make them stay at home. Okay. All right. And then because they need a timeout. It's kind of like when you were, remember, probably, especially during your generation, instead of getting spankings, you were sent to the corner for a timeout. That is what the universe and you know, God, and we said we need a timeout, and we are being given that timeout right now. We really are.
You know, I'm in New York City on the Upper West Side. I don't think there's anybody who, or any of my neighbors, who doesn't know somebody who's not been sick.
Okay.
There are a lot of people who are losing parents in nursing homes. Heartbreaking. You know, it is around, and I actually talked on the phone to a friend of mine this morning. She had the virus, and she said, I wouldn't wish it on my worst enemy. She said that she had a mild case, but it's still very scary, and she was very, very ill. So you're right. It's like, if we're just being asked to just stay home, why is that so hard for people?
Exactly. Well, I was saying that, you know, as
our family and in our unit, and, you know, I get a lot of people that are really having a hard time being single right now because they're just alone in their singleness. But I'm like, well, you could be stuck with your spouse that you don't get along with, and what's worse, right? You know, I mean, I think we're all just kind of feeling helpless. I think that helplessness is the hardest part for us. We're such control freaks as human beings. We want to be masters of our own universe, and none of us are in control of what's happening right now. And that's just really forcing this surrender that's beautiful in some ways, but it's just painful and difficult for so many of us, myself included. That the surrender part is hard. It is.
Well, here's the thing. I'm going to give you a totally different perspective. And I love you, and I always share on this show that you don't have to agree to, because I'm having an extremely opposite experience. And we started that, when we started talking, I was just, matter of fact, as I'm looking out the windows, these kids are running up and down as I'm talking to you. But that's not even what I want to say. My experience is, I only know of one person who had been diagnosed with the virus. My aunt, 87 years old, with a history of cancer, and she's fine. Okay? 87 years old and a history of cancer. Now, I don't know exactly what her cancer is right now, if it's in remission. I just know about 5 years ago, I was told by a cousin that she had cancer, and I don't even know what kind, but she's 87 years old. She's the only person, and that same cousin told me recently that she was diagnosed with COVID, but she's 19, but she's doing fine. So,
bless her heart.
Yes.
Wow.
So, and that's the only person I've even heard of. My block. Now you're in New York City.
I'm literally living in the epicenter of the virus in the world right now.
Okay. All right.
And you know, New Yorkers are resilient. We take a lot of pride in that. You know, I was here during September 11th.
Yes.
You know,
Yes. That's right. True.
You know,
you're there.
It's
you're right there
in other places. Yeah.
I'm not far from you. I'm only an hour and a half from New York City.
Yeah.
I'm not far, but I'm in the mountains. I'm in a more rural suburban area. It's more kind of a mixture of rural and suburban.
Yeah.
The kids that have been out of school, they've been up and down playing, no mask. None of my neighbors, we go out when it's nice out, because we've had yucky weather of late. But when it's nice out, like yesterday was gorgeous, we were all out. We're all talking, and it's almost like a big block party, because everybody's home. It's a nice day. We want to be outside in the sunshine. Nobody's wearing masks. Nobody's wearing gloves. We're not even the COVID-19 is not phasing us, and we're actually raising our vibration because we're just having a big old party.
Right,
So it's totally opposite.
It's totally different.
Totally different.
And I think you're right. I think that it's important to stay positive and not attached to the fear of this too much. But also understanding that this is such a diverse country and such a diverse world. And I think that what you just said, I think can be a larger lesson, that your experience is not my experience, and that we all experience things in a unique way. That's like on a micro level. It can be like on a macro level as well, right? Like it's in Tobyhanna than it is on the Upper West Side.
Yes. Yes.
I'm like yelling at my parents live not so far from you, I mentioned. I'm like yelling at them. I'm like, go out today? They're like, oh, we're on our way.
That's right. You did tell me your parents live not too far. They're only about a half an hour away from me. This is true, very true. But the other thing is also, it's going back to that vibration and frequency thing, because I believe we do control our reality of what we experience by our vibration. I'm feeling that my experience of this whole thing has been so uplifting is because of my vibration. And I think somebody can be in exactly the same location I'm at and have a completely different experience.
I think it's important, like what just occurred to me also too, is to remember that our vibration and our actions impact each other. We're so connected in so many ways. So, and I'm thinking like, well, you guys don't have the COVID problem in Tobyhanna because in New York, we're choosing to stay home.
Yeah.
We're blocking it from going out. Even we're like, 90 miles away from each other.
Yeah.
That's kind of a lesson in of itself, that we're choosing. I mean, people could be not doing that. Be like, oh, you know what? I'm going to go to my Poconos house for the weekend anyway, even though I've been in the epicenter, and then bring it to your grocery store and your neighborhood, and then all of your experience would change. So we have to kind of remember that our actions impact each other as well. And there's a little bit of a collective, like we're loving each other.
Right.
A lot of people talking about New York, like we stay home because we love you.
Okay.
I feel that too. You know, every night at 7:00 p.m., everyone bursts into applause from their apartment buildings here in Manhattan to thank all of the essential workers and all the people that are out there, you know, risking their lives. There's a lot of collective love that you can feel. And I feel that much more than the fear here. It's interesting, even though there are a lot of people sick, and the fear is definitely there. You go to the grocery store and people are like, don't cough in line at the grocery store.
You might get shot.
Death looks faster than anyone else. But there's my experience of it here is just that we're all pulling together, and
much more love.
And I think that's just an insight into human nature. I think that we're much more loving and able to connect and step up to each other than we even know. And I think that's part of that next phase of evolution that you were talking about.
Yes.
The 2020 vision.
Yes.
We're together.
Yes. But the onion is just starting to peel. But the thing I'd like to talk about is the fear. Because the other thing, one of the things I like to share on this show is knowing exactly who you are as a spirit, as a divine being, looking at your life from your soul perspective.
Yes.
You know, because you know from the work that you do, we live many, many, many lives. This is not it. And we choose when to come and we choose when to live. I mean, when to leave. We choose when to come into this life experience, and we choose when to leave. It's a soul. It's from our soul perspective. So I live my life from that. I live my life from that. And I say that when you know, not believe. Okay, my definition for know is belief on steroids.
Okay.
So for me, it's not a belief, it's a knowing. I know I am a sovereign divine being of light. This physical body is just a temporary car.
And I think that is something that people awaken to use the word of your awaken to oneness. And there are different ways that people can awaken.
Yes.
Often it can be through suffering.
Yes.
Loss.
Yes.
We're talking about, we both have journeys of loss that will bring you to your knees.
Yes.
You know, and for me, having this experience of passive regression, giving people a chance to experience, hey, I am in a different body right now.
Mm-hmm.
I thought I was a female. I am not a female. Or I thought I was, you know, fill in the blank, right? Whatever.
Yes.
We feel like we are. That gives people a chance to have that experience of, like you said, of your experience as a soul, and helps you awaken. And when you meet someone else who's also awake, you're like, oh yeah, you got it. We're the same.
Yes.
So I think that what's happening right now on planet Earth is many, many more people are awakening.
That's exactly what I'm trying to say.
And our society will evolve from the inside out.
Exactly.
More loving, more equality, more seeing each other as a soul. If you see yourself as a soul, then what that means is that you see others as a soul too.
Exactly. And you see others as a soul, and you don't see others as separate from you.
Correct.
That's the whole, you see them as you in another body. You in another body.
Yes, you're helping people wake up.
Yes.
I'm helping people wake up. We're all awakening.
yes. But the other point I was about to say about the fear, when you do have that awakening and you know yourself as that soul, you have no fear. Yeah. I can tell you honestly, fear is not a part of my DNA anymore. Yeah. Because I say to myself, once you know yourself as a divine creator, living the temporary life of your own creation, what is there to fear?
Yeah.
Nothing. You know?
Especially if you have the experience. I mean, one of the parts, there are many pieces of past life regression. It's a very dense experience, but it is in essence experiencing your own death.
Oh, yes.
Your own demise.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said, there's a lot of deep spiritual work that we do around death and dying. Yes. And I keep going back to this, like these shamanic traditions.
Right.
You have to experience your death. People do ayahuasca in order to.
I want to. I want to try that.
I haven't done it either.
I want to go somewhere like in Costa Rica and find a really qualitative shaman. You have to have all the right.
It has to be done in the traditional way.
Yes. I would love to.
That's the purpose of the ayahuasca journey, is to experience your shadow, your fear, your death. So for you've already found that place of light without needing the plant medicine. And I'm sure you're good at it.
I still want to try it. If I ever get the opportunity, like I said,
the idea of experiencing your own death.
Yes.
You no longer fear death, because
exactly.
It's a transition. It's not the end. And I'm not cavalier. I don't want to die. I'm enjoying this time around.
Sure, definitely.
I have a lot that is left to do. But to me, people are like, oh, if I get the COVID, I'm going to die. I'm like, well, if that's what happens, then that's what happens.
That's why I share. I thought about that this morning when I thought about the only person I know that has been diagnosed, 87 years old. And has a history of cancer, and she was diagnosed over a month ago. She's home. She never even stayed in the hospital. She was at her doctor's office where they tested her, and she went home. They called her, let her know, okay, you're positive. She never even went back to the hospital. She stayed at home. She did whatever she does, and she's fine.
I have one word: badass. 87, like I said, and you know what, maybe she's mentally tough, and because the mind and the body and the spirit are all connected.
It's all connected. It's
mind, body, spirit. People who get sick and die, manifest with coronavirus, because that's unkind and it's not true, right?
Right,
Because
right.
like I said, we all have our individual life paths, but
Exactly.
the mind is a powerful
Yes.
part of our physical experience.
Yes.
And the soul are connected. So
yes, all three are as important. It's important to feed the body and take care of the body healthy, because that's our vehicle. Just like my car. I want my car to get me from here to Jersey when I go to Jersey. And it can't get me there if I don't take care of it. Just like my body. I want to stay here and do the work that I came here to do, because we're all here for a divine purpose. You found yours. I found mine. We're shining our light for the world. And so it's important to take care of the body and feed it well, organic, non-GMO, drink a lot of fresh spring water, all that exercise. Walking is the best exercise. Just light walking, sunshine. Oh my God, that is so healthy for us. So all these healthy things we need to do for our body, but it's also important how we feed our mind. So that's why with positive, because we get like negative programming just from society in general, and that news. That's why I stay away from it. We get a lot of negative thoughts from there, and if we just dwell on those negative thoughts, we're gonna put ourselves in a state of fear. So we want to feed our mind. We want to feed our mind with just as positive, like we want to feed our body with good, healthy food. We want to feed our mind with healthy thoughts, positive thoughts.
One of the themes that has come up with my private clients, and also people, I've been doing webinar workshops, so group past life regression. A lot of people are emailing me back, kind of the experiences that they've had. But one theme that's come up is a lot of people who have gotten sick and died in a past life and have this fear of, they're like a germaphobe, or and I have a son who's a germaphobe. He's 14. He uses his shirt before coronavirus. He was a germaphobe. Like he just always was thinking like, oh, something fell on the floor. He's like, and so people have different reactions to different things. And I think past lives are only part of it. Also too, we have, brain chemistry and it's complicated. Yes. But I've worked with a lot of people this week that are like, okay, you died from the plague in the 13th century. Doesn't mean you're going to die now.
Exactly.
And if you have that thought and that belief, that's going to be a fear. It's going to be a phobia. It's going to be an energy that you're carrying, and you're going to attract that to you. So the idea is to get rid of that energy, release yourself of it. That it's a thought. It's based on trauma, with the idea that trauma creates an energy signature, and that we carry that with us lifetime after lifetime after lifetime, and that it continues to inform our experience. So when we get rid of that energy, it's gone. Then we're free to create a new experience. That's how the work I do. Yeah.
You just hit the nail on the head, because actually we all chose this experience right now to clear out. It's called cellular memory. You're right. We take trauma from past lives, and all of, not just we've had trauma. Some people have had devastating traumas in this current life. That the trauma from this life, the trauma from past lives, all of that, we brought that here now to clear. That is because this is a time where humanity is awakening as a collective. And so to awaken as a collective, we have to clear that old trauma. And it's going to happen different ways for everybody. But that's exactly, you hit the nail on the head.
When I first got into this work, that's what compelled me to start doing work with energy healers and shamans, because I started to realize that it wasn't just a story,
right?
But there was an energy to it. And that's, and my training and background includes energy medicine, like I said, from a lot of different backgrounds, because I very quickly realized that there was something else going on here.
Yes.
That it's not just about bringing up the story like, oh, I was so-and-so in a past life.
And right. No. It's about clearing that trauma.
You've got to release it. Yes. So people who do past life regression, I really want to kind of say that. You work with somebody who understands that there's energy connected with this too, because there has to be a release. You've got to get rid of it. Right?
You have to. It can't be suppressed and put down. It has to be brought up. It has to be brought to the light and transformed.
And you have to deal with that responsibly. You know, it's you've got to
Yes.
clear the cast, so to speak.
Yes.
Yeah.
Now, I know I wanted to ask you because I've had a couple of guests on that do in between lives.
Mm-hmm.
And also, I don't know if you're familiar with Robert Schwartz.
Yeah.
He's been on my show twice. He was my very first guest because I was reading his book. I was in my son's ICU room the last month my son was in the physical realm. I was reading Robert's books, Your Soul's Plan and Your Soul's Gift, and I was emailing back and forth to Robert while I was in my son's ICU.
Wow.
Yes. So, but Robert and also Michael Newton's work.
Yep.
Yes, I had tried to invite Michael Newton to be a guest, and he had transitioned a year earlier, but his director of his institute, Peter Smith, I want to say, has been on. And also I've had another psychotherapist recently that specializes, and I'm sorry, I can't think of his name right off the top of my head, but he also specializes in between lives therapy. So as to why we have chosen to come here this life, do you have any experience with that?
I never did any training. I'm familiar with all these people. They're colleagues, and I've never done any between life training. Kind of in this field, there are kind of two grandfathers.
Okay.
Brian Weiss, and one is Michael Newton.
Right. Yes.
Brian Weiss girl.
Okay.
You know, and the idea that the between lives is more about soul mapping, soul planning, soul purpose.
Exactly.
That resonates for some people more than others. For me, there was something about Brian's work that, like I said, dealing more with the energies. It's passive regression is very physical work. Mm-hmm. Like, what are you wearing? Mm-hmm. What do you look like? Are you hungry? When people are about to pass, I ask, are you in pain anywhere? Right. I think a lot of times we're so, obsessed with connecting to spirit or being in the realm of spirit. To me, I was just really drawn to how physical this work is. I work with people with physical symptoms from the past life. They have ulcers. And they remember dying from poisoning in a past life, and then their ulcers go away. Okay. Yeah, but the between lives element is always there when you're doing work. Like, and if you've read any of Brian's books, he describes this too. But they're just different approaches, and what you're looking to discover.
Yeah, I was just curious because because actually, Michael Newton was focusing on past lives, and it just, like he said, like you said, Brian's, he said to the patient, and it was a female patient, I'll never forget this one because I identify with it so much. It was a female patient that really felt very isolated and lonely her entire life. I identify with that 1,000%. Like I said, I was the black sheep in the family. I never was popular. I've never had close friends. I come from a small nuclear family and really never had close relationships. So I felt that. So when he was describing this patient, and so he says Michael Newton says to the patient, well, go to the source. Mm-hmm. When she went to the source, this is his first in-between life regression, she went to planning that lifetime. Oh. And here's how she planned it. She's like, we have soul groups, we have soul families, and we come and we have interaction with all of we come with our group when we come to a life. But she chose in that lifetime, she said, I'm leaving you all here. You all stay right here. I'm going to do this one on my own. She came into this life without, and she remembers. She had the whole, you got to read the book. I forget what book it's in, but of Michael Newton's, but she's describing, she's seeing all of her spirit family.
I think that's from Journey of Souls.
I think so. I think so.
Wait, I think so. Yourself right here.
Okay, I think so. And she chose to say, I'm doing this life experience by myself. I want to experience independence. You guys supported me too much in my other lifetimes. I need a lifetime and after she had that memory of her planning her life and telling her soul family, stay behind, let me do this on my, she was fine.
Yeah.
And I truly believe I identified with that so much. I'm like, I must have did the same thing.
Yeah. You know, like I said, there are many, we talk about this, there are many paths toward awakening.
Yes.
And fortunately, there are many signposts and guideposts and people who are like what you're doing, being willing to share your own experience. I'm sure you tell your story and a lot of people, it resonates with them, right?
Mm-hmm.
That we're all kind of helping each other wake up, and they're all equal paths as long as we all reach the same truth.
Yes. Yeah, we are unique. That's the other word I forgot to use.
Mm-hmm.
We are unique, divine, multidimensional, holographic aspects of all that is God.
Yeah.
So when I say unique, with no two snowflakes are alike.
Yeah.
So there's 7 billion people on the planet. Not one person is going to have the same awakening experience. It's going to be unique to each of us. And it's about us sharing our unique experiences. That's why I always say on this show, it's not about agreement, because you can love and respect another when you know that other is a divine soul, another aspect of you, another aspect of God. When you know that, you can say, okay, thank you for sharing. That does, that's not my experience, or it doesn't resonate with me the same as it resonates with you, but thank you for sharing. I'm saying that because right now, there's so much arguing on social media.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm saying that to say to people, because I've shared some things of what resonates with me as truth, and I got attacked. I'm like, are you kidding me? Are you attacking me for sharing what resonates as, and these are quote unquote spiritual people. It's just, I'm like, so I'm like, time out, people.
Yeah, love and light, people.
Love and light. If you want to comment, and this is for I think if you want to comment and you can't comment with love, then just leave that alone. But here's the thing, because we operate from two places, love or fear. And yes, there is a lot of fear in the world. So I had to, and I said, I forgive all of you, because I understand you're coming at me from a place of fear. Because even if you disagree with me, you can approach me with love and kindness. Love, here's how you know the difference between love and fear. Love is always kind.
Yeah.
Love is always kind. So it's nothing wrong to have a conversation on social media and have a disagreement, but you can stay in a place of love and kindness as you have that conversation.
Absolutely. I think that all of the division that's happening in our society, in our culture, in our country, I think plays an important purpose, and I try to.
I know it does. I know it does.
We need to learn how to be more compassionate to each other and more understanding that your experience or your beliefs are yours and mine are mine, and I think that in order to really go there, we first have to clash in order to find that. I mean, it's just this explosion of differences where it's like, what you believe and what I believe, it's not superior or inferior. They're just different. And I think that's
exactly.
It's an important part of our evolution as a species, I think. Like I've seen people have past lives from 5,000 years ago.
Wow.
Working on different issues 5,000 years ago. We were working on different issues 100 years ago.
Yes. Right.
What we're working on now is more about equality, understanding, peace, harmony, becoming more connected. These seem to be the lessons of this era, which is why I'm working on a book, and my book is about equality.
Oh, awesome.
Because past lives, reincarnation, that's really what these lessons teach us, is this universality. You might have a different opinion, but your soul is on the same journey that my soul is on over many lifetimes. And that's, I think, the key to world, like I said, to world peace. If everybody could understand how this works, that there would be, and like I said, I'm hoping to be done with the book by the end of the summer, but because
Yeah.
of quarantine lockdown, I'm writing more.
Oh, awesome. Very, very good.
But
very good. Very good.
Yeah.
And you're actually, I'm working on my first book, and I've been working on it about a year and a half, and I just have it. I've written about 4 chapters, and it's my journey. It's my journey of awakening, and also my journey with my son, Kyle. Like I said, I shared with you, there was 2. I only actually physically lost him once, but there was 2 times I only almost lost him another time before. But I share all of that in detail in the beginning of my book. And then my awakening actually started before he even got sick, which was in 2007 when I saw What the Bleep. That was the key to my awakening. And so the book. So,
I think that your sharing your story is the most loving and giving thing that you can give, particularly from this space of hindsight. You know, doing a podcast and a book is that phoenix from the ashes that happens, right? And it's kind of like, you know, you can't be a healer without having walked that path yourself.
Exactly.
And, you know, like people ask me all the time how I became a life coach. It's like you can do this in a classroom, really?
Right now.
My butt a little bit. I learned to like some things from it. But, you know, I think that your story is going to resonate with a lot of people, particularly because you have the benefit of hindsight.
Yes.
That you can look back and see that you saw that movie exactly the right day that you were meant to do that movie.
Exactly.
And everything unfolded in this beautiful, perfect, yet messy way, and that everybody's journey is unique. And I think like I said, thank you for keep going with that, because like there are more stories that need to be shared, and it'll connect with a lot of people. So
now this time of time out that we have, we've all been sent to our room. This is really an opportunity for us to go within, listen to inspirational music, meditate, maybe go if you can. I mean, you're in the city, so it's different here. We're wide open, so we can go for a walk easier. Go for in the sunshine. The sunshine is now, it's a cloud. Yesterday was so sunny. Today is cloudy. but it's just a matter of going. I think this is spirit, the universe, and humanity as a collective, and saying we need a time out. I just encourage people, try not to listen to the news as much, because I do find it keeps you at a lower vibration. I mean, you can check it, like you said, once a day or something like that.
You know, to add like another nerdy historical analogy, but you know, after the Great Plague came the Renaissance. So all these people that are home quarantined, I'm telling them all the time, write that screenplay that you've been to write.
Right,
our photography class online, and paint that painting, or
plant some vegetable seeds in pots if you're in the city.
That's right. There's going to be this explosion of creativity for people that are finally like people who are able to thrive and not be in that place of fear, that they're finding ways to kind of channel that energy. I'm looking forward to all the great films that'll be out next year and the year after, and all of the great books that we have to read, and all of the great art exhibits and things. So, you know, I like I said, that's the phoenix from the ashes from this time. I think there are a lot of people who are home kind of doing that, where it's like we're forced to slow down, and the next round is on its way.
That's why I said I got so excited when I realized this is the beginning of the mass awakening, and 2020 is the year of clear vision. So please, people that are listening, please understand, all is not lost. Things are happening, and all will be well. All will be well. Yes. Well, thank you, Michelle, so much. I'm so glad. This has been a great conversation.
I loved it. Thank you so much for having me. I really enjoyed it.
Thank you. And hey, once things are over with, I don't get to New York often. I actually have a good friend. Matter of fact, where I met Tracy was on the Upper West Side. It was. You said, West Side. Yes. Upper West Side. You live on the Upper West Side.
I do.
So that's where I met Tracy at a dear friend of mine's house. So whenever
Next
things are
time
back,
you're here, hit me up, and
I will.
we'll have to social distance. We can have tea 6 feet apart. And
Okay. All right.
Yes, thank you
Well,
so
I'm
much.
sure I know I will not be going into the city until all of this is ended.
Stay away if you can.
I'm not a city person. I barely go into the city twice a year, if that. But you're not far, so we will definitely keep in touch.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much.
Okay.
This has been great.
Yes.
Okay. So bye for now. Hi. I hope you guys enjoyed that conversation with Michelle Brock. She does her therapy using past life regression, trying to get to the root cause of any blocks or issues you might have. So definitely check her out. We had a great conversation. I like to always make my listeners aware that now on my website, I am offering a free mentoring session with anyone who's interested in having a mentoring session with me. Just go to my website, awake2onenessradio.org, and just let me know, contact me there, and I will be in touch with you. The other thing I like to say, I am hosting now a monthly Zoom meeting. We had a great one just last week, and so our next Zoom meeting is going to be in May. It's going to be the fourth Thursday in May. I'm not looking at the calendar right now, but it is the fourth Thursday in May at 8 p.m. Eastern time. So please, if you can join us, just contact me and I will send you the Zoom link for that meeting. We had a great time, so come join us. Okay, and also on my website, I have a list of holistic free online events. We're all concerned about health right now. And for me, I have been holistic for over 20 years. I have not gone to a doctor, knock wood, have not needed to go to a doctor. And I'm the healthiest I can be because I am completely holistic. So there are a list of holistic online events that you can check out, and if you're interested, you can register and check them out for free. So you can find that on my website. And I also like to invite anyone interested in helping to support Awake to Oneness Radio. Everything I do is nonprofit, and your financial support is greatly appreciated. So if the show speaks to you, if the mission of awakening the world to the universe, to the universal truth of oneness, if that resonates in your heart and you like to make a donation, please do. There is a donation button on the website. Thank you very much. I appreciate you all. Love you all. Always be safe, and peace and love. Namaste.